What were we yelling at? Why are we yelling?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Back Yourself podcast. I am your host, Hussein, with my brother from Warrior Land, Christopher Ishu, right next to me. And what a weird and interesting round it was, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of points scored, a lot of tries scored, some shock results. But is anything really shocking in this sport anymore? I don't think so.
Yeah.
What do you think, champion? Were you shocked by anything? Did the round come at you in ways that you weren't prepared for? Or is there a particular letdown team?
The Cowboys shocked me. It's how awful they can be.
Really?
Because we come on and say how bad they are every week, and they continue to play bad. You know what? Every other team we say, you can't suck, you can't shouldn't show up, you can't this, and they always fight. These motherfuckers give up. They listen to us.
Cowboys fight as well.
No.
They fight themselves on the field. God, they're awful. But ladies and gentlemen, another profitable round for the Back Yourself podcast. 5-2 against the spread. Going down in flames, unfortunately, in that last game. Fuck you, Titans. But shout out to Chrissy, who hits his upset alert. Para, I did not think they had 36 points in them, but Titans, those cunts will concede to anybody. Yeah. In saying that, it was a very interesting round, and it starts with probably the least interesting game of the round. Shout out to Harry, Charlie, you, if you still want it.
This is the
Harry,
2-minute.
I hope you're not watching, and congratulations on your wedding, mate. Enjoy the honeymoon, and I really hope you didn't watch Friday night either, because it was probably the snooze fest of the round, and the Tigers go down to the Raiders and cover and lose 12-16. After the Raiders get a big lead, go up 16-0, and then don't score for another 2 hours. Christopher, as one of the former ambassadors of Tigers, and now that Galvin is out the window, and we know that these cunts can't score, what did you make of this contest, my friend?
Well, look, Tigers, let's put some respect on them. They did hold Raiders out after their abysmal start. They could have chucked the Cowboys, chucked the Titans, chucked the Warriors, but they didn't. Chucked the Dolphins. They didn't, and they really hang in there. I actually think Tigers was the most equivalent for them. It was like South, except they can't score. Essentially, they played like South, but they're just too shit. And the result kind of, South lost by 1 this week. Tigers lost by 4. They're in the fight. They just can't get it over the line. Luai, gave it his all. Shout out to him. Him and Hudson both backed up. Hudson, obviously, not that much of a big deal because he didn't play. He played like 30 minutes.
Yeah.
Or 20 in Origin. But Luai, 80 minutes and then 80 minutes again. Shout out to him. Even Benji took Heath off before he took Luai off. So, you know what? That's how much they need him at the club. And Tigers, these close losses are just stacking up too many times. So I think in this one you deserve to lose. There were chances you had to win the game, but Raiders really never got out of second gear. And Raiders are just that team at the moment, and this is a quality that potentially could win a premiership, is that just find a way to win. And regardless, they weren't able to score. Tigers defended them pretty well, held the ball, kept Raiders away from their own goal line because as soon as they got down there, Raiders were going to score anyway. And Tigers did that really well. And they only could get 2 tries on the board. I think the Raiders' defense really showed up. Tigers threw as much as they could, whatever they have, but wasn't enough to breach the Raiders' try line the 3rd time. And I thought Raiders deserved to win, but Tigers deserved to cover, and the exact result I thought.
And we deserved unders, which is what we won on, because really, were we that keen to take Raiders minus 8.5, knowing how probably limited their fucking motivation was to go and rape Tigers in Campbelltown on a cold, wet Friday night? Probably not. And on the other side of things, it could have blown up pretty easily for Tigers if they weren't up for the contest, which we did see at the 16-0 scoreline. But as Chris said, the right team covered, the right team probably won. Tigers, I'm really confused with you cunts, because do I look at you guys in a glass half full way, or do I look at you guys in a glass half empty way? This is their past 4 results after losing 290-0 in Melbourne.
Respectable.
12-22 against Souths, which the Galvin no tribe could have won them the game easily. 32-28 to Cowboys.
Cowboys gave up.
Another 4-point loss. 14-18 to Penrith, another 4-point loss. 12-16 against Raiders, which is another 4-point loss.
They're in every game.
So I'm like, do I give you credit for losing by 4 to Penrith, losing by 4 to Raiders, being a no try away from beating Souths, and coming back down 200 against Cowboys, or do I look at it in terms of you couldn't win one of these 4 games?
They don't know how to win. They don't know how to get the job done. They had chances again in this game to go win the game, and they just didn't.
But at the end of the day, they've kind of like lucked their way into beating Sharks and Dragons immediately before getting raped by Melbourne.
Also dropped it, yeah.
Are they where they kind of deserve to be at the end of the whole storyline of they won this, but they could have won that, but they should have lost this? At 5-9, probably.
Yeah.
And once Galvin left the door, their attack kind of left the door with them. And outside of scoring 28 against the lifeless Cowboys team that gives everyone 20 points, it's 14 and 12 and 12. And
what's disappointing is a few of these games they would have won with Galvin.
Yeah,
they would have beaten Raiders.
Yeah, they could have even beat Penrith or something.
Yeah.
But he had been playing okay up to this point, but he was particularly awful in this game. So my guess going forward is Benji says fuck it, and he full sends Latu Fainu in there, who's perceived to be the next gun half at the club. We'll see what happens, but
alternate universe.
At this stage of the season, I think the dreams of Tigerland making the 8 and making any noise in this competition is probably done, and you're kind of just scraping for moral victories at this point, which you can't seem to be very good at getting every other week without actually getting the 2 points. Raiders, this was a game you just had to rock up and win, and you tried for about 15 minutes, and that was enough to win. So shout out to you guys. You move on to next round. And
do they have a bye?
Didn't they just have a bye? No, they go to the fucking Knights of War, which we'll get to shortly, but easily probably the least exciting game of the round, and we move on to Saturday, 3 p.m. sharp. Shout out to my G's. Shout out to the Waz, who fall to the might of Brad Schneider and Blaze Talangi, Dane Laurie, and Mitch Kenny, which I'm sure not many people saw coming, but I feel like me and you kind of saw the writing on the wall because we have been watching this sport for 15 years.
Too long.
And we have really honed in on how garbage this season has been in terms of the nonsensical nature of the results. So, Chris, my formal statement and question to you is, will you be rescinding your apology to the Waz for
not
this
yet,
loss?
Not yet. I've got to let him sit with this loss first. I'm going to make it as painful for you cunts to watch the podcast, but I'm not going to rescind anything. I still think you'll make the top 4. You're a really good team. You literally lost to a New South Wales Cup side. And what's incredible is what I said from day one. If Metcalf has a shit game, they can't score. And what could they not do?
Score?
Yeah. It's not like they didn't have enough possession. Actually, fascinating stat, and I don't think it's ever been completed. Their completions in the first half was 100%. Then they started dropping it. Why? Because they wanted to go score, because they couldn't score. Penrith, what's fascinating about this Warriors team? And I'll make it even more painful. All you need to do is defend a little bit. That's all Penrith went out there and did. Okay, we'll defend our line. We'll make sure they don't score. We'll score. Warriors, they did defend their line pretty well. They actually had a lot of sets, Penrith, but eventually they'll crack. Just like every other fucking team. No one's special in this sport. In the sense of any team can beat any team. And we've seen it perfectly clear this week with the next 2 results. And Warriors, look, after 1, 2, 3 times Penrith deflected them away, on the other end, Warriors deflected them once, twice, but the third time they let one slip by. Went to Jenkins, or who else scored in this stupid game?
Jenkins, Sorensen twice, Talangi and Alamori.
Yeah. And essentially, for the Warriors fans to be like, we scored 18 points. No. The first try was a Penrith error.
Jackson Ford of War.
Tungo dropped it when Warriors realistically weren't doing anything. The second try was a good try, but at that point, they were already down 18-8, I think, or something like that.
I think they...
Are they getting raped? No, they went in front, sorry.
Yeah, 12-10 or something.
They went up 12-8 in classic Warriors fashion.
Yeah. And then quit.
And then, for a significant period of time, couldn't score, and Penrith just got enough points on the board. And truly, to anyone that is not scared of them or thinks they're gangsters, either Warriors, Raiders, Melbourne, Bulldogs, calling out the whole league. Penrith aren't done. As much as it wants to hurt me, they're not done, are they? They're not going to give up. And it's just a matter of, can they win the games when they don't have their players? And this is what burns me with the Warriors the most this week. These motherfuckers gave them a win. You couldn't just go out there and win by 2, Warriors. Was it that difficult? Why are you giving them hope that they actually have a chance of making the 8? Because in a one-game scenario against these idiot teams that are in our top 8 right now, Penrith full strength can beat all of them on their day. And all we needed is just a Warriors victory. It was that hard just to go win by 2. Incredible. And the players that Warrior Panthers have, look, a lot of them are names we know, but they don't play every week. They're New South Wales Cup players. They went to New Zealand, proved the point that you guys maybe are not as good as you think you are. But you're still a top 4 team because you've won so many games. And this is a blip in the radar. So I'm not going to say anything. Just good job, guys. Thanks for nothing.
I think where I'm going to come from in this game will probably shock a lot of the audience. But for starters,
They can't score.
number one, we said narrative-wise, this is probably the stupid fucking game that the last thing everyone remembers in the back of their mind is what this lineup went out and gave up to Dylan Lucas 3 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And essentially they're running it back with the same morons. And, well, how can anybody tip Panthers against this Warriors side who are third wherever they were before the round? But you just can't assume that teams are going to, week in, week out, dish out the same garbage. Your logic can't be, oh, well, they were awful last time, so now I can just lay 14 against them. They'll be awful again. Because we saw later in the laying points is borderline fucking impossible in this sport, unless you're playing Cowboys. Now, in the Waz defense.
What defense?
To lay 14 without Capewell, without Barnett.
There's a lot.
Without these sort of players. 10 minutes into the game, Niokore fails a HI and goes off. In the 39th minute, Dallin goes down with a leg injury. He doesn't come back. So at this point, you're expected to win by 3 converted tries or more against a desperate Penrith team who still feel they're quite a strong forward pack in a lot of ways, you know. Saracen, Leota, Ghana, these sort of players have been there and done that for a long time. And I thought they were quite strong in the middle. And, well, Capewell played for one team that won this week, and when he didn't play, they lost. So maybe Capewell's some sort of god in this sport that he really makes a big difference when he's there, in my opinion. And he might have been captain the side this week.
Whoa. Why are you giving him a break?
What? No, I'm getting there.
Oh, okay.
Do they get excused for dropping a stupid game like this that they should have won? Every team's done it, and in my opinion, I would have given them a pass, but
I gave him a pass.
The G's out there, you guys fucked your team over this week, and you fell for the trap. You fell for the bait. What were they saying in our comments this week?
They were so good. I agree with them. Warriors are good. Warriors are a top 4 team.
They made the grave mistake of mentioning two words in this sport. Point differential. Bro, we can get our point differential up this week. We're playing Panthers. As soon as I saw those words in our comments over and over, look, it's not going to be easy, but I'm hoping we can win by margin. Margin?
They lost by margin.
You lost by margin. You guys literally almost lost 13 plus to that Penrith team, who, if we want to go back to recent history, obviously we have the Dylan Lucas game in reference. We have the Cowboys game last year where they went out and lost to no one. Cowboys didn't have their players either.
No.
We have 2 years ago where they quit the Tigers. I'm pretty sure these Origin rounds where they run out the dirt lineup, it might be like 0-6 straight up.
You know,
the last 6 games.
I got an even better comment because, since we're going to comments, I can talk. There was a piece of shit, which I'm going to call him that. He doesn't deserve his name. That was like, Penrith don't have an excuse to not play their players. So how come Capewell didn't play, huh?
Yeah.
What is? You can't even beat their B team, let alone their A team.
Yeah,
Come on.
He was going on about, you can't discredit the Waz because they're playing these losers when they pump them.
Did they pump them?
Yeah.
What happened?
So what happened?
Where is he?
It's fascinating that you can't play the B team and you lost.
Dude,
At the end of the day, look, it happens.
They don't know it happens. I get it. But you know what else is fascinating with these? The bookies have lost their minds with this team. They don't know what to do anymore. Finally, they rate them and then they give up.
The bookies have lost the plot with this sport.
Yeah, the sport's something else.
Which the rest of Saturday just tells you all you need to know.
Yeah, no, the bookies, that's the public, which we'll get to them in the second game.
It's not, though.
No.
Because
there's no reason to have this that big.
This is the first year of my life where the public Joe Schmo is laughing at me for taking a favorite. Bro, why are you taking favorites? Just take the underdog. Take the underdog 13 plus every game. And truly, if you did that for the whole year, you'd probably be killing it.
No, not really. This round they just won. They're slowly fading.
But even in saying that all the public cunts are on the underdogs, even the public was not taking Penrith.
No,
because
took Warriors.
I get why you would take Warriors, but I just don't think...
No, I don't.
I don't think people paid enough attention to what the Warriors were missing this week to go and lay 13. Should they have won? Yeah.
No.
There was no reason to lose to that Penrith team.
I disagree with that. It's not like they lost Fisher, Harrison, fucking Metcalf. It's Capewell and Barnett. And Barnett wasn't there the week before when they beat Sharks anyway.
Yeah.
So it's just, is Capewell, if Capewell's that important that the spread needs to be brought down from 13 to 10, sure. But it's not that. Listen, you guys just don't know how to score properly. It's simple. Just say it the way it is. They could defend really well, and no one defends properly in this sport.
They had a uncharacteristically awful game from start to finish.
They can't score.
In the last 14 rounds, they would have never considered that Blaze Talangi try. Come on, boys. What the fuck was that?
No. But they defended, actually. There's so many sets the Warriors actually defended really well.
They literally gave Penrith 28 points.
Yeah.
That Penrith side.
Yeah. Well, that Penrith side should be conceding 28.
I know.
But they can't score.
I don't know if one game's enough to be like they can't score. But
No. One game hasn't been enough. They've actually only proved to me one game that they can score.
The Sharks game?
That's it. Have they proved any other game they could get the ball over the line?
What do I say?
Because a team that can actually... Listen, the teams that have actually defended them well or beat the shit out of them because they looked at the scoreline and it's 100-0, i.e. Melbourne, have beaten them. Raiders defend decently. Raiders defended decently again. Melbourne put that many points on them, they got scared of the scoreboard's going to break.
This was truly their first really bad loss. In my opinion.
And that's why I'm giving them a break.
Going to Melbourne, getting raped is okay. Losing to Canberra a couple of times is fine. This was the one where it shouldn't sneak up on you, but it did, and that's okay. As Webster said in his press conference, every other time you cunts have lost this season, you bounce back the following week. So now...
Yeah.
You're going to Brisbane, and we're going to get to Brisbane. Don't get it twisted. Don't fucking start thinking these cunts are good either.
They're not good.
But
you
are now 6-point underdogs in Brisbane. So
that's too much now.
Well, they went from 14-point favourites to 6-point dogs.
Oh, no.
So it's the age-old garbage. Fucking Ben Hunt's coming with a target of these cunts. But on the other side of things, speaking of Penrith, I want to talk about them not in this game because this is not Penrith. This is just... a bunch of lurkers and Penrith, right? So I don't know how you cunts won, first of all. But you did, and that really bodes well for you that I don't think Ivan Cleary in his wet dream thought he could rest Nathan, Liam Martin, Isaiah Yeo, Brian To'o, and Edwards and go out there and win in New Zealand. He would never thought these cunts would win. But they did, and gives everyone an extra week to get ready and go and fuck me. It's going to be the Penrith Bulldogs versus the Penrith Panthers on Thursday night. So they should be really glad that they got a win and were able to rest because if they somehow went to New Zealand and played and then had
and they could have lost.
The short turnaround on Thursday night against Bulldogs, they literally would collapse on the floor after that. So
Penrith full strength... What we saw before today, that game, even if Penrith went there with everything...
Yeah, they played garbage, they would have lost.
They would have lost, right?
I know.
Genuinely, they could lose. That's what makes this loss even more frustrating.
That's what makes this sport infuriating. Yeah. That deep down, if Penrith actually went there full strength, who knows? Warriors might have won.
Exactly.
And been minus 2.5 for no reason.
And then as soon as you put them 13, because they don't have Capewell, they lose.
Yeah, so...
Capewell is everything. Capewell is the whole New Zealand.
For the Penrith side of things, you really snuck away with the win somehow, and... because of everyone else crumbling around the 8, you actually are putting yourself in a prime position to go and smuggle in and fuck around and make this semis and God knows what will happen. Now, for those that are arguing, bro, Penrith's they're really scary, bro. As soon as you play them, you're going to start shaking, bro. That's true to a certain extent.
It depends who, though.
But, in my opinion, they can't win the comp.
No, they can't.
Because, all right, week 1, you're going to go to... Where are they going to go in week 1? They're going to go to Brisbane. All right, Brisbane suck ass, you're going to win.
No, that would be their worst matchup.
No, okay.
They can't score.
Yeah, but Brisbane likely will come 5th.
Yeah, okay. But Penrith are already 8th.
Okay. All right. If it's not Brisbane, who is it?
Cronulla. They'll go pump them.
Week 1, you go to PointsBet. Sharks put up a fight. You win by 6. Cool. Okay. Yeah. Then week 2, you go to Canberra because fucking they got raped by Melbourne. Then you got to go and beat Canberra, and then after that you got to
Then they'll
go.
lose.
You got to go play Melbourne in Melbourne off a bye.
Yeah, they did.
And then in the grand final you have to play Dogs.
No. They're not going to win a grand final.
So,
But they're going to make noise.
It's not that in a one-game fixture they can't upset or you shouldn't be shaking against them, but the way they've positioned themselves this year, they have to exert so much energy to get in the finals and then go and win on the road 4 times in a row, and they're not good enough to do that anymore. So I wouldn't get too horny of they can go on 5-peat because I don't think
they're not going to win 5-peat, but Warriors could have done their own demise. Warriors week 1 lose to Melbourne and then they go play Penrith and lose.
Yeah, it could happen.
And this is all because Penrith will make look, Penrith could have made the 8 with these 2 points or without these 2 points. But giving him a donation of 2 points because you're scared of Blaze Talangi's kicking game is your own fault. So Raiders, Warriors, all the teams that are in the top 4, no one's going to be like, oh, Penrith's going to be a pushover. I agree. They won't make the grand final. But they're not going to be a pushover in the second round. Neither will Brisbane. Now you're just lining up teams ready to come tear your ass. Because we saw from Brisbane, like, in a 20-minute stretch, they can pump anyone.
Yeah, apparently.
So it doesn't matter who's in front of them. They beat the only team now they've got a second loss, but they didn't have their players. They beat the team that was undefeated and dismantled them. They can beat anyone on their day. But you guys are just giving them a win. Broncos are going to make it. Penrith are going to make it. Who else is going to be there? Like
Dolphins, the morons.
Dolphins won't beat any of these teams. Cronulla, the way they're playing, will never beat any of these teams. So won't Manly. But you're just donating gives teams wins. It's kind of like around round 4 or round 5 when I came on and said, why the fuck did they give Para a win? Why the fuck did they give Dolphins a win? Because you give them hope. Now Para looks like the best team I've ever seen without Moses and Brown. When Moses wasn't there at the start of the season, they couldn't do anything right. They had the game against Dogs where they had 5,000 sets and they couldn't score. Imagine these guys were playing then. Yeah. They would have won.
I know they're team possessed.
Dolphins are now the most possessed team until this week, but they literally both won 2 games by 50, all because Titans gave them a win in round 5 when they were 0-4. So, look, you're just giving these teams wins gives them hope. Now Penrith think they're all chances against Dogs. Why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
Full strength with the team that just beat Warriors. And now, this is Penrith at their peak of their powers. I don't think they have one player out next week. We'll get to the preview more, but they pretty much have everyone. Yeah, so, I don't know, but they have Galvin. So.
I would say this was the shock result of the round.
Yeah,
because
100%. Oh, no, South.
No, they still lost. If Souths won outright, it would have been a different story.
No. South,
I swear to God, you pull up any tipping comp, any whatever, I'm willing to bet money that Penrith was the least tip side of the round. Why the fuck would you take them to win outright?
No, surely South.
Nah. Because cunts think Souths are good.
No.
I promise you.
No one intrinsically is going to... With that Melbourne lineup, nah.
The rationale is if you're close enough to full strength or you have a few gun players, you can win any game, right? But Penrith was the side running out nothing. That's why no one would have fucking taken them.
I still think South, but...
Look, it was a bad loss. I will be interested to see how you guys bounce back next week because you haven't put yourselves in a position to have had back-to-back losses this season, but now you run that risk having to go to Brisbane next week, and we'll obviously get to that more in the preview.
Now, in true Waz style, they're going to lose to the 2 teams they could lose in the second round.
That would be pretty funny, but I think
they're going to wake up.
We'll leave that more to the preview. Mate. Shout out to the Waz and shout out to Penrith. I don't know how you cunts won, but you did, and that's great for you. Moving on swiftly back to Perth, the scene of the crime where Queensland dominated New South Wales on the Wednesday night. The Dolphins snapped their big winning streak to my Newcastle Knights, who I'm claiming, ladies and gentlemen, live in front of everybody.
You claim them.
And the returns of Bradman Best and Tyson Frizzell really made a massive difference for this Knights team. They jumped out. And obviously the trader, Dom Young, shout out to Barnesy. He's back in the red and blue.
Why does Barnesy get a shout out? He's a trader.
Because he loved him at Roosters.
Why?
He was awful at Roosters. But the new look Knights team looked squint and you look hard enough and they are the Knights morons that limp into the finals every year beyond anyone else's expectation. And the Dolphins, after scoring over 150 points in the last 3 weeks, quit the Knights at $1.20 odds. So, Chrissy, the Back Yourself podcast, get their... if we're counting Queensland, their 4th win of the round in a row on the Knights, getting 12.5, which I said I think I put them under duress in the
You
preview
did.
because I was like,
You can't be that
if you can't
bad.
cover 12, you are miserable. But they get the outright win, 26-20 was your full-time score.
Well, it just shows how close the competition really is. You get a center and you get a fucking front rower back, and all of a sudden you can be 12-point underdogs and go win. And beat probably the most informed team in the competition as of that point.
Yep.
They were on track to be the 4th team in history to get 350 wins in a row.
Fuck me.
And 50-point games in a row. Yeah, there's only one other team since 2001, there was only one other team that did it. You want to guess who it was?
Melbourne?
No.
Broncos?
No.
Manly?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mainly in 2021.
Yeah.
They consecutively scored 56, 52, and 66 against Dogs.
Wow.
So Dolphins were on track. They had their first 2. They were going for a third. And, I mean, they scored 20, but that's not enough against Knights. The more concerning part is conceding
The
26.
new Knights.
The more concerning part is that you've conceded 26 to any form of Newcastle. Now, this is where truly no one's going to own up to it. I wonder if the comments will own up to him. Literally anyone that took Dolphins at over a 10.5 spread is the worst punter I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah, I agree.
There was no reason. Now let's step back, right? Let's just not even look at the Knights lineup. This Dolphins team wasn't as good as last week as well.
Yep.
Kafusi was out.
I know.
How many forwards do you want to take out of this team?
All of them.
What do you mean all of them? You want to start with Mark Nichols and co. And expect them to the audacity of these cunts to go win.
The way the narrative was playing out this week, I was ready for a late change. Hammer time to get named in front row, and the cunts would be like, "Oh, take the minus 14.5."
I mean, truly. And look, I hope someone owns up and says, yeah, I took Dolphins. It was a really dumb bet. And truly, I'll have more respect for you than every other idiot that's going to be like, nah, bruh, I took Knights or outright. Because no one took Knights outright. Shut up. No one took Knights outright. Unless you listen to the Back Yourself podcast or you're in the Back Yourself Telegram, no one took Knights. Trust me. But listen, there was no reason for them to be 12 or 11 or whatever the number was. This should have been 7.5. Yes, Dolphins are in form. Yes, they've improved. Yes, they've looked much better. Yes, Katoa's playing out of his mind. But this Knights team was much better this week. And the other thing is that, of course, those points didn't really matter. They could have been 7.5 and 1. That's what a lot of people are going to say. And true. It's true, right? Did I expect the Dolphins' performance like that? No. Did I expect a Dolphins defense like that? Oh, no. But Knights at their peak of their powers, which we'll get to the Knights ambassador himself, they're actually not bad. And their defense, I think, is still 3rd rated in the competition. It's just their offense is awful. But you bring back pieces like Bradman Best, who is literally their version of Bitcoin, the Walmart Bitcoin. Shout out to Matt for the Knights, because with him, they look much, much better. And
score.
this team without Marju, are the Knights back? I don't know. But it was a big win for them. And Dolphins, you're back down to reality. Like, I think if they raped this Knights team 13 plus and actually got all these favourites victories, I truly would be like, well, these cunts could make noise in the finals. Like, they just score so easily, it doesn't matter. But now it's exactly what I thought out of these Queensland bum sides. They're all the same.
There's a theme amongst the 4 of them.
So we need to understand why this went to 7, went to 11, went to 12 in the first place. Because everyone's begging for a favourite.
Nah.
No one out there is realistically taking underdogs every game. Sharp money is, at this point.
No, I'm telling you they're not.
So the casuals are just pumping minus 11 with hammer time and Farnworth anytime.
In your heart of hearts, outside of the cunts in the Back Yourself Telegram fucking channel, who do you think the Sharps took more in this game, Dolphins or Knights?
Knights.
I genuinely think they took Dolphins.
There's nothing sharp about it.
I know.
It was blunt.
But
Blunt behind
the
the
only
hair.
cunts that took Knights in the world are me, you, and the cunts that just blindly take the underdog every game.
So I basically called literally over 80%, 90% of people stupid.
Yeah.
Which they were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, look.
Well, I'm not wrong.
Okay. We had a spread of 13.5 at kickoff. True?
True.
This game was not in Queensland. Okay? So first of all, this was a neutral fucking game in Perth.
Yeah.
Second of all, Dolphins ran out of forward pack of this. You ready?
Keely.
Molo,
Well,
who 6 weeks ago, cunts were saying that he should be exiled from the NRL.
okay.
Ray Stone started in the front row.
Well, they didn't have anything.
Fini Fuiaki, who's decent. Keeley and Donahue. No Daniel Saifidi.
Oh, yeah.
No Flegler. No Kafusi.
No Plath.
No Plath. No Gilbert. So literally, in a ways, their entire starting forward pack was not there. Nichols, Harrison, Graham, Lamelu, and Tawaha. Right? So you're laying 13.5 without even looking at what Knights have, with a backup forward pack, and you don't even have home ground advantage.
Well, you have to sit there and think, right? If you're just looking at the Dolphin side, you got to think, all right, Knights don't have Kalen, they don't have Best, they don't have Sharp. One of them had to be out for it to be 13.5.
It's like you were laying points against last week's Knights team.
Yeah.
The one that couldn't score against Roosters.
Yeah.
So, from that team that looked like absolute dirt, we now have Ponga come into the side, Dom Young come into the side, Bradman Best come into the side, Fletcher Sharp return, Tyson Frizzell return, and all of those ins for Knights and all of those outs for Dolphins got us to a 13-point spread on a neutral. So, what the fuck would the spread be if the Dolphins players played and let's say Ponga was out?
15?
No.
20?
20.5. You're going to go lay 20 in this sport. That's insane to me. This was one of the few spreads that I looked at in the whole season, and I was like...
This is like the Roosters one when they played Penrith, and they were 24.
Who's making the spread?
Well,
this is nuts.
If in Newcastle, this almost would have been 9.5.
Yeah. No. Because what? Home field from a neutral is worth 2 points, right? So in Newcastle, this would be 10.5. Because Dolphins have gone out, lost all their forwards after beating Dragons and Cowboys. Yeah. And now you can't want to lay 14 with them.
Yeah.
Where last week you were like, well, can we really lay 4 points against Cowboys? And now you're going to go lay 14. So that's the punting aspect of the game. The actual game itself, I got to call out hammer time.
Mm-hmm.
This cunt does nothing week after week for this team.
He doesn't even do anything for Queensland.
This guy has done nothing for this team this whole year.
Yeah.
Truly, the Dolphins fans out there, I want to give Matt a shout out as well.
It's like Kalen's.
I swear to God, they look better with Averillo at fullback.
They look better at Fullers there.
What do you do? Like, how much stock do you put into raping Dragons and Cowboys?
Not much.
Which, when you did that, I don't think Hammer even played the Dogs or the Cowboys game.
No, he didn't.
So, sure, you rape Dragons, but...
Well, what do you do?
Your attack honestly looked better with Averillo.
Well, actually, they have options now. Because Bostock's finished.
Bostock is done. Unfortunately, tears his ACL. Speedy recovery to you, Bostock. But on the Dolphins side of things... Look, I don't know. It feels wrong in a way to, like, put one of your best players on the wing for no reason.
And put Fuller in.
But Trey Fuller, like, once he gets healthy, he's an option.
Oh, you can put Fuller. No, he is healthy. He was on the reserves this game.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming he's healthy. Matt will verify, but it could be an option next week to put Hammer or Fuller on the wing. I'd rather Hammer. I mean, he's played wing and Fuller never has, and Fuller's dynamic.
Yeah, but don't you think Hammer's kind of wasted on the wing, though?
No. I mean, they win because of their edges. And realistically, you might have, and like, everyone's going to kill me. Realistically, they might have the most dynamic left edge in the competition with Farnworth and Hammer.
I understand.
That's fine.
I understand that, but I'm not saying this to say that Hammer needs to get dropped. I'm saying this to say Hammer needs to fucking wake up and pull his part for the team.
Look.
Did he even play?
He did.
Sure, he got his one garbage support try, but did he play?
Well, Kalen did the same, but anyway.
Did Kalen play?
Yeah. Well, okay, look, Hammer might have been tired, but he actually hasn't done shit the whole year.
He hasn't done shit the whole year.
Yeah.
If he had been gone for all those rounds and then gave up after Origin, that's fine with me, but this cunt does nothing on a week-to-week basis.
I'd put him on the wing.
Anyway, so on the Dolphin side of things, look, you actually had a lot of ball in this game, and the third-ranked Knights defense came to play. What I guess might have shocked the world is Knights putting 26 up on the board, and yes, that does look like a scoreboard malfunction with what Knights have dished out. What are they averaging? 14 points a year? But for the real OGs of the pod,
for the real Knights,
I said 8 weeks ago that when Bradman Best went down, I was like, these cunts won't get a win, and only Manly were able to give this team a win.
Oh, and Penrith.
And some of Manly's results incredible.
And Penrith.
Penrith, yeah, they gave him a win as well. But outside of that, when Bradman Best doesn't play, these cunts can't score. And it's kind of a snowball effect that Bradman, he's not there. And when Kalen gets the ball and looks up and he sees Fletcher Hunt, he's like, I just won't even try that hard this game. You know, my boy's not there. But as soon as he gets in, now they're possessed. So have they somewhat... It feels insane to say, but it's fucking true, and I don't give a fuck. Have they actually put some cunts on notice when
No.
Fletcher Sharp gets back and Marju gets back, and they can run out the same morons that 10-peated the other year? Yeah.
No.
Knights can genuinely, like, compete in most games now,
Okay, look.
in my opinion.
I like to say this.
Leo Thompson to come back.
Okay. I'd like to say this.
Adam Elliott.
I'd like to say this, regardless of what we looked at, because we understand the spread's wrong. Let's put that away, right? Realistically, Knights beat a New South Wales Cup level forward pack by 6 points off a last minute try. Let's just put that into context, okay?
They're awful.
No. So look, I understand your claims of Knights are back, they've returned, and they could, become better than what they were. But technically, they didn't play that great. They didn't if you actually take away, I think a lot of people are going to be like, well, Knights were awesome. What the fuck are you saying, Chris?
They're not awesome.
There's nothing awesome about them. The point is, the spread was wrong. We've established this. The spread was completely wrong. Dolphins had a pack that was nowhere competing nice, and the back line is just as good as the Dolphins' back line. But if you look at how Knights won in the context of the game, realistically, they're not as good as everyone's going to think they are. That's why I don't think they could make the 8.
I disagree with you.
And also, now that these idiots at the top, regardless they win or lose, they stay 6 points ahead of the rest of the top 4, the battle of the bottom 4 from 5 to 8 is a war zone of just all these teams that can play good some weeks and cannot play good. And at their best, Broncos, Penrith, Cronulla, Manly, all of them at their best, I'm going to take them overnight.
Yes.
That's the thing.
Yes, I agree with you that those teams have a high ceiling than Knights, but under the Adam O'Brien regime,
he keeps them
as
consistent.
awful as they are, and they never reach their potential in terms of how good they can play, they do have a 2-month stretch of footy every year where they play gun every week.
Yeah, I know.
And as soon as you want to put the pencil through them of, they drew a loss, they just keep winning.
Yeah, but Kidney Boy's out.
And
that's step one.
Kidney Boy's out. That gives me cause to pause, right? Yeah. Because an inbred's coming into the halves. But they still have Leo Thompson to come back, Adam Elliott, Marju. Those are big ins. And I actually disagree with you how the game played out. You may look at it as if, they only won by 6 when Dolphins had this and that. But from my perspective, I thought, personally, Gagai Sinbin was fucking soft.
Yeah, it was.
Right? There's nothing professional about it.
Well, it's like
and
the
at that point,
today.
they lose the Sinbin period 12-0. So they cop the Sinbin. They're already 13-point underdogs. They already can barely score. And they concede 12 in the Sinbin period. They get a try taken off them by Grant Atkins, the son of a bitch, at the end when Jaden Brayley scored. And he called forward pass for no reason. And that looked like the old Knights high-powered offense where they could score at will. And they still came back and won over the adversity. So, in my opinion, when you're looking for consistency in teams, I'm looking for consistency within games from these teams, right? Because week to week, Melbourne aren't consistent, right? That's meaningless.
They're consistent.
Consistently, they don't try.
Yeah.
But even Warriors have had a fucking awful loss. Melbourne went and lost to Dragons. Dogs were down fucking 50-0 to Broncos.
Except Raiders.
So that's only Raiders can win every week. That's fine. But the resolve from the Knights that I know these cunts in the Manly game at 16-0, the old Knights would give up. I know these cunts.
It's the same Knights.
When Hammer Time went down the sideline and scored after Gagai got sin-bin, that they would fucking give up. But they keep trying. They come back. And they have enough runs on the board now that all I'm saying is just keep one eye on the Knights.
Truly, I don't know. I think they only separated by 2 points. If I had to take an inbred to make the 8, I would rather take the next team.
Okay. Well,
in my opinion, Adam O'Brien ain't no wizard, first of all. But also, South, which we'll get to them, they're also very similar to Knights that they don't give in. They should, but they don't.
I'm going to make a hilarious point in the Souths game.
But when they actually are full strength, they're actually pretty good.
Yeah, but I think from round one, these cunts haven't been full strength and they never quite figured that out.
Of course.
I'm not sure many would come and argue with you that South's full strength are worse than Knights, right? But it's just kind of how the season's played out. If you have nothing else to say about Knights, I will say it was a costly loss to lose Fletcher Sharp, and his kidney laceration seems to have him out for 4 to 6 weeks. So,
4 weeks, safe.
Whatever Adam O'Brien's answer is in the halves, I hope it's Hastings. I like him, but I think
4 weeks. Oh, it's going to be
Bradman being there opens up the attack. Dom Young and Marju helps them get down the other side of the field, and if anything, it's just given Kalen some hope to like actually have a go in the games.
Well, it doesn't do anything, so maybe he will start.
He will start.
But the back line's back to their beautiful best, which is very good to see.
So at this stage, we got up unders on the Tigers game, 13.5 on Penrith, 13.5 on Knights, and I couldn't pull the trigger one more game going into Souths, and by the 5th minute, I was like, thank God I didn't take them, because Saturday saw 3 games with the same spread in all of them, and in my opinion, Souths was the one that I just was not willing to fucking take in any capacity. But in the end, this goes right down to the wire, Chris. This was the thriller in Manila of round whatever we're in. 16. And it takes a Pappy field goal for the Melbourne Storm to prevail 25-24 against the South Sydney Rabbitohs. We lose on 12.5 in our first best bet loss of the round.
What do you think we're going to say? How long will they try for? 4 minutes?
3 minutes?
I actually think...
By the 4th minute, it was like, all right, we've done our job.
Which is when they were up 12-0. Let's start with that. South, your start to this game...
You essentially...
you solidified minus 12.5 in 2 seconds.
The way Harry Grant walked in,
Yeah.
I was like, it's one of those games from South. And it could have been anything.
Yeah.
And then Melbourne became possessed and scored down the left edge with Grant Anderson grubbed for Jerome Hughes, who scored under the black dot. Did a mean step, put it under the black dot, 12-0 in 4.5 minutes. And I was like, yep, Souths have given up.
But Souths don't give up.
There is no quit in this Souths team. And shout out to the Souths. What can I really say about them? Complete 180 in terms of the culture at the club, the pride in the jersey from the players. Because I know in my heart of hearts, if this was JD at the helm or Ben Hornsby, this would have been one of those 70-0 kind of games. But this is a string of these cunts covering and losing to Melbourne now that they didn't have it in them 12 months, 24 months ago.
No.
So shout out to Wayne Bennett. And as annoying as Souths are, and this is 4 losses in a row now since the Tigers game, they covered against Dogs, they covered against Melbourne, they almost covered against Warriors, they quit to Raiders in Papali's 300th, but takes a lot to put Souths away, and I'm not sure you can say that about too many other sides down the ladder where they are.
Yeah, no, of course. And they've played some great teams. They've played literally all of the top 4. So, look, Souths are truly playing some decent footy. And it all comes down to their ability to score on one particular edge so easily that it doesn't matter what team really is there. The left-hand side strike is just too good. And that's why Johnson ended up with 4 tries. And essentially this came down to goal kicking because at the end of the day, Melbourne only scored 4 tries and they scored 5. So essentially it came down to goal kicking. So South, Wayne Bennett, everything that's happening at the club, this is more praise to South than everything else. This is what you call fight. And Cowboys need to take a note from this because if Cowboys went down 12-0 or Dragons went down 12-0 or Titans went down 12-0 in 5 minutes for 4.5.
Yeah, it would be 100-0.
It would have been a new record. But South, they actually try and get themselves back in the game and don't continue it. Melbourne, on the other hand, all right, we get it. You cunts are good. Can you cunts not try and score every single play?
I've never seen this.
And the matter is, they're so fucked that they do and they win anyway. Like, it's the case of, it's actually worse than the year they made the grand final. Because Brisbane didn't used to do it every play. These cunts are even worse than them. They try and score every play.
Every single play, they're like, how can we score?
Yeah.
And
it works.
And the insane thing is, it doesn't matter how many times Bellamy does his run up the stairs and throw something.
They'll do it again.
And I'm sure he's punching the clipboard at halftime. They go out there and they might have one set where they take 5 hit-ups and kick, and then the next set they're like, all right, how can we score?
Yeah.
And the problem is, for Melbourne, they're justified in doing it because, one, they win every other week, and two, the way they start the game, teams quit to them in 5 minutes.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Like,
It's like, fuck it.
if you try it and you have the 2 tries that they had, why would you be like, no, now I'm going to roll up the sleeves at 12-0?
Yeah.
So through Melbourne's own stupidity, they allowed Souths back in the game. And once you give Souths a sniff, they hang around, right? You think, all right, they were down 30 to fucking 6 or 12 or whatever it was against the Wars. Next thing you know, here comes Latrell under the post, and you're like, fuck, they can backdoor cover.
Exactly.
They're down 18-0 to Dogs. Here comes a little bit of rain. Next thing you know, here comes fucking... here they come, and they're going to cover again. And this same garbage in this Melbourne game where 12-0 easily could have been 18-0. It wasn't. And then 2 minutes later, Alex Johnson scoring his 4th try of the game. And then...
They went in front.
They're in front. And Melbourne's like, all good. Like, we'll just score an 80-meter try and everything will work itself out. And they did.
Yeah.
But then, like,
Souths
at that point, you'd think, all right, Souths...
Give up.
Or, like, Melbourne can put the game... I thought Melbourne could even cover from here because, like, all it was waiting for was Souths to go short and not get it, and then they would mail it in. But Munro obviously scores to even the game up, and then... It took a bit of Pappy magic. That field goal in the end gets them home. So I'm not really...
I can't analyse Melbourne.
I can't analyse this Melbourne team.
Like, are they... They're good.
Their ceiling is like...
So much better.
Disgustingly high.
I actually think their ceiling...
But their median is not so great.
Their ceiling on the grand final day will truly make a boring grand final.
But I'm not sure that they can just flick a switch and play finals footy like that.
No, they can't. But, I mean...
You know, like...
You get that sort of game in a grand final, I don't know who could be in front of them that could stop them.
But I hate to admit this. Shout out to Jeremy and JB. I'm sorry, boys, but I kind of feel like they're deluding themselves into thinking that, oh, we can just rock up on grand final day and we'll win. Like, Penrith's not on our way this time. We can just... Like, Harry Grant can just... scoot from dummy half and score.
Well, realistically,
if it gets hard, we'll give
outside
Nelson
of
a hit
Raiders, right? If they score 30 in the grand final, who's keeping up with them?
No, but I don't think you can just rock up on grand final. They score 30.
Oh, they can.
I don't think so.
They can.
I don't think they can.
No, No, they can. I think if it gets to grand final day and a few passes hit, that's it. Like, truly,
they're
the Royds Brisbane. Like,
what I would say is they are susceptible to going up 10-0 in the grand final and then fucking it up.
Oh, yeah. I'm not saying they're not. But in a grand final scenario, going down 12-0 is very different to South going 12-0 on a Saturday night. Dogs going down 12-0 in the grand final, in their first grand final, is going to be like, oh, fuck. If we concede next,
maybe,
we're fucked.
But I think they have the style of game that can get them back in the game across the contest, which I'm not sure Melbourne have that.
No, they don't.
Melbourne have, all right, if we can score an 80-meter try, we can do that, and they might do it, but is that what I want to bet on in a grand final game? Not really.
Truly, I just think they're so talented, everyone's fucked.
I understand that, but I feel like if their only objective is winning the comp, Bellamy needs to actually sit these cunts down and be like, you cunts are not allowed to play backyard footy for the rest of the fucking season. I'm sick of this shit. Because, all right, I'll ask you this question. If they just played through the middle of Souths for 80 minutes, what would the score have been? 260-0, right? So why don't you just do that for 15 minutes and then play backyard footy? Why do they start the game throwing the footy around like that?
They don't care.
Because it works. I get it, right? But that's not going to work against Dogs or Raiders. If anything, it worked against Raiders, right? Farlongo did the fucking kick from heaven to Pappy. They scored, and then they lost anyway.
Yeah, but Raiders, they can, right? I think Raiders are probably the scariest for Melbourne right now. But the other two, nah. They won't keep up with them. Like, it's done. We saw what happened in the Warriors game. Like, okay, Warriors were not as great as they were, let's say now, hypothetically. But let's say how they're good now. But like I said, you give Melbourne 30 points, even if you give them 24. Look, I'll bring it down a try. 24 points in the grand final, Melbourne are going to get.
I don't know. They seemed pretty hard for them to score last year, the Fox.
Yeah, but
You know?
yeah, but that's Penrith. You're talking about Dobbs and the Warriors here.
All we said in the final series last year was, how can you stop these guys from scoring 30? And then on the biggest stage, they scored 1 try. Sometimes the grand final, the way it plays out, you need to be able to like.
Yeah, but they can't play that grind, and that's.
But they need to. I think they have it in them. They just choose not to.
I don't think they have it in them.
And I feel like if they keep choosing not to over and over again, they're going to set themselves up.
I don't think they have it in them. They've just gone the complete opposite.
They're just like, fuck it, we'll score. Like, all good.
We'll score. Yeah,
but
that's fine.
I don't like that for them. But I guess it got them home just in this game in the end. And winning covers a lot of your blemishes. And they're still, what are they, second right now? And no one will give a fuck. But I think I'm one of the only people that will come on the pod and be like, I'm actually worried about them.
No, I'm not. I think they'll win the grand final.
I know where you stand on them, but that's fair. And speaking of standing on things, stand on it. Stand on those Sharkies. Some
idiots.
Someone actually commented the other day, he loves your blow-ups at Sharkies because of how much pain they cause you. But in this case, the mighty Brisbane Broncos win 34-28 in a comeback that was actually crazy to watch unfold live. 22-6 was your halftime score until Katoa randomly got sin bin. They win the sin bin period,
Bullshit,
make it 20, what was it, 28-12 or some
and
garbage.
Then they give up.
And then they gave up and didn't cover plus 4.5. I cannot believe the Back Yourself premium get up on minus 4.5 on the Broncos. That one
team.
I would barely consider a win because that did not deserve to cover, but that just shows what Brisbane can pull off when things are clicking on all cylinders. Was this good Broncos or was this shit Sharkies, or are they both garbage?
They're both shit. Look. Fuck this league, bro. These two teams deserve... This should have been a top 4 contest, and it really should have ended like 16-12, realistically. There's no reason for these two teams to the way they've played this year. Obviously, based on how they've played this year, this is the result you get. Two dumbass teams playing each other. But realistically, come the start of the year, we're like, all right, fuck, Brisbane Sharks, 2 p.m. This is going to be a cracker match. And they just play like inbreds. Let's start with Brisbane, because the defense in the first half is just...
What defense?
Like, it's actually infectious across all Queensland teams.
Yeah,
they don't know how to defend.
Yeah.
It's incredible. It's like...
It's sickening.
It's actually sick. And you know what's fascinating? Only Queensland know how to defend themselves. But everyone else doesn't know how to defend properly. And Queensland, this Brisbane team, some of those holes in the first half. Now, look, this is actually all Cronulla's fault.
Okay.
And I'll explain why. Why are you cunts only up 10 with that defense at halftime? Old Cronulla, where Cronulla could not defend anything, would have had 40 on these cunts, the way that they were defending. And it all comes down to one guy with the longest hair I've ever seen. Maybe he needs to cut his hair, and maybe that will change the way he plays. Because he's done everything else and it doesn't work.
I think he needs more than a
Nico
haircut.
Hines. Fuck me. Look, the second half, it was the second half. And I've said this from day one on the podcast. If Brisbane click on all cylinders, it doesn't matter if you put Chinese brick wall in front of them, they'll score. It's Brisbane. They'll find a way with the way that their players have. But the fact of the matter is, the first half, Cronulla only led at halftime by 10. When the defense of Brisbane was sickening.
Yeah, really poor.
And it wasn't Trindle's fault.
Trindle played gun.
It wasn't that the team made any errors. It wasn't that the forwards lost the forwards because they were killing them. Even the sin bin period, they played great because they scored. It's Hines. And now there's no turning back because you can't go get Metcalf and bring him in because you did have Metcalf. But this guy needs some sort of, I don't know, therapy. I don't know what's going on with this guy, to be honest, because I've never seen a Dahlia medalist play this shit. Even Wyden, in his twilight years now, at least he's playing okay at centre. And it's because he's old. He's old. It's not his fault.
Yeah.
Kalen shows up on the biggest stage. You know, he does have those big games. And we've seen it last year. Kalen was fantastic. Kalen was the only reason Knights even breathed half the time. This year hasn't been great. But the Hines, like, that from that Origin game, I haven't seen a player drop off this poorly.
He's just outright bad.
Yeah, he's actually just bad.
Yeah.
Like, truly, there's other halves that are much lower than him. Like, when you say, oh, Hines has to be in there. I don't know. I don't know if Hines needs to be in there. Like, is Hines even a top 7 half at this point?
Oh, no.
Is he a top 10 half?
No.
Like,
We could rattle them off real quick if you wanted to.
Well,
Are we
okay.
including 5'8"s?
Yeah,
Who would you
no,
rather?
no. With 5'8", he's like 15th.
Okay. Real quick. Jerome Hughes.
Yeah.
Mitch Moses.
Yeah.
Cleary. Nathan Cleary.
Yeah.
That's 3.
Reynolds. You have to.
All right. I'm going to put a caveat on Reynolds. Ben Hunt. I would go Ben Hunt. Fogarty. I would take over him right now.
Yep.
Cherry Evans. I would take
I would
over
take
him
over him right now. Yep.
I'll take Luai over him.
100%.
I'll take Galvin over him.
I'll take Metcalf over him.
I'll take Metcalf over him. So we're already at like 9. I'll take Cody Water over him.
Yeah. I'll take Trindle over him. On his own team.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'll take Trindle. Okay, we're going like bottom of the fucking... I wouldn't take Foreign, I guess.
Well, you got Moses and Brown.
I'm not taking Brown.
Moses, you already put it there.
I'll take Moses.
Ilias?
I would take Isaiah Katoa over him. I would take Sam Walker over him.
Oh, yeah.
So, Ilias...
Oh, you didn't get me on.
We didn't quite get to the Dragons half, but he's like battling for 12 to 15.
He's the nucleus of the problem. And he needs to cut his hair. He needs to do something, bruv. Because at this point, he's costing the whole team.
It's too long.
And the team is actually not playing bad at all. They rolled Brisbane through. Adam Fanua-Blake literally walked through ours. He went through. It was freeway. Teague went through. Nakora went through. Why are you cunts only up 10 at half time? You scored yourself, you stupid idiot. It's unbelievable. They literally should have had this at 32-6 and Bamaj would have come into halftime and been like, you can't suck. Seriously. But what do? They come into halftime, they're only down 10 and he gives them hope. Yeah. There's no reason for them to have any hope whatsoever. Imagine it was 32-6 and you watch Brayley crash over with 12 players.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? You're going to be like, all right, yeah, we're going to go try now. No, they'll give up.
They'll fucking give up.
And look, 16 points for Brisbane is like... Knights, we often say, if they score a try, it actually counts as 2.
I can't...
Brisbane, if they have 16 points, realistically, it's only 8. Because in a second, they scored 2 tries. And they did in this game.
I can't believe some of the tries Broncos conceded in that first
It was
half.
atrocious.
I mean, we're going to start off in the 4th minute and give the Talakai try. And then... They do the line break and Kennedy scores. And it's, what was it, 12?
That was the Teague line break.
The Teague line break for 10-0. And I was like, this is scary hours.
Yeah.
And then you can't proceed to defend them. Everything they throw at you, all the ball they had on your 20.
Walks through.
And they didn't come close to scoring. And then you immediately concede the Pakes try. And I'm like, well, for all the domination you've done in the first 20, it's 10-6. Is that it? Like, now you've given Broncos hope. But... hope is not enough for this Broncos team.
Give up.
They're so bad.
Yeah, I know.
For, like, talent aside, I want to say they're up there with Cowboys.
Yeah.
And Titans.
Yeah.
As the 3 worst teams in the league.
Yeah.
Like, if you were to...
Dragons.
If you were to take
Tigers.
The talent out of every team and give every team equal talent and just look at effort, heart, discipline,
Broncos are
execution. Broncos are right down there with Roosters.
Yeah.
Like, Roosters and Roosters at least try, right? Broncos,
Cowboys would be last.
Broncos, it's like, well, fuck. It's really hard. We'll give Pakes a try. Like, we'll give Brayley the try when they have 12 men. Like, that sort of shit.
Well,
and
even the Nakora line break, no one was there.
I'm sorry, like, 7 line breaks to Sharks in the first half. I couldn't believe my eyes for what Broncos were dishing out.
Yeah.
But then all of a sudden, just a flick of the wrist... moment of brilliance from Ezra to set up the try before halftime. Who went through and Ezra scored? Ezra scores right before halftime, and then, as you said, 22-6 even is probably a very big different proposition to 22-12, whatever.
Well, it would have been 28-6.
At this point, Adam Reynolds was awful.
Yeah.
And they go into halftime, but they don't go into halftime straight away because Katoa decides to stick a leg out and fucking.
And that's not a sin bin.
I'm not sure what was professional about it. Anyway, he gets sin bin. So you're thinking, all right, Madge, he has something to work with. They just scored before halftime. They have a 10-minute uninterrupted window against 12 men come the second half. And, all right, like Madge can get them fired out of the gates and they can go and cover. That's what I'm thinking. And these motherfuckers come out. Reynolds gives a 70 tackle set and they concede the Brayley try. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, my God. At this point, I messaged Chris. I was like, Broncos are the worst team I've ever seen. Because 28-12, I was like, this is insurmountable. And when Sharks, in fairness to them, when they do get on a roll,
Yeah,
they're really fucking hard to stop. And here comes Katoa, he comes streaking on.
old Sharks though.
And I'm like, well, Broncos are gone. Their season's probably done. Sure, like you beat Titans and you thought you were the All Blacks that day, but as soon as you faced some resemblance of competition, you went back to your ways and you played like garbage again and you lost. But now I'm like, well, the last 25 minutes happened and I have to divert my attention from Broncos to Sharks.
Well,
what the fuck was that, Sharks?
It's the new Sharks. They've already given up.
Hines sucks. All right, he sucks.
Yeah.
I'm not going to defend him. But I would expect better out of a Fitzgibbon coach Shark side than to just... How did Broncos end up with 32 and 36? 34 points? Seriously?
Well, they score at will.
Why? Their attack's not good. In a vacuum, their attack is not good.
Yeah, I know.
How many times have I seen Reynolds give out a 70 tackle set? Or I just thought of something Hines did. Fuck me.
How many times? It's Hines, bro.
How many times has this cunt given a 70 tackle set? How many times has this guy just been running at the line with his arms like out wide and they slap his arm and he drops the ball? How many times has he just like seen Reece Walsh out the back and hit Karapani or gone short to one of their dog wank forwards and just become a nothing burger? How many times have we seen the hooker to Reynolds to Mam to Walsh cut out through the winger? We don't see it out of these guys. And we really don't see 34 ever from this Broncos side, even though we should see it every other round. But Sharks...
We'll see you next week.
From 28-12 to Katoa coming back on the field, for you guys to lose that next 20-minute period 22-0 was fucking disgraceful.
Disgusting.
And
I don't want you guys in the 8.
I don't want to see Sharks again. Like,
I can't watch them anymore.
I just get annoyed watching them now because I'm like, you guys should probably be where Warriors are, but you're closer to fucking Dolphins, and that's just not good enough. In my opinion.
With that lineup, no way. What's frustrating is, what's the point of retaining all these cunts, getting them on lower contracts to stay there, and they just give up anyway? That whole back line literally could get $700K each.
Yeah,
and they all want to stay there.
Yeah,
they love each other.
Leave.
I'd leave. Fuck these cunts. Fuck Hines.
So from the Brayley try onwards, the next 34 minutes, Sharks didn't score.
Yeah.
Don't think that Broncos figured out how to defend. No, they didn't. I promise you they didn't. So this is a really bad loss from Sharks, considering the circumstances of how they led by so much. You go Shibasaki, Karapani, Shibasaki.
Same edge.
So that Raimi at edge. I mean, Jesus Christ.
Well, guess whose edge that is?
Hines' edge. I can actually vividly remember the play that Hines sucked the soul out of Sharks for the rest of the year. It's still a one-possession game, and they're on the Broncos' 10-meter line. And remember when he kicked it cross-field into the Broncos goal and gave the 70 tackle set? That's essentially where Broncos ended up covering.
Well, you saw the Walsh play. They were backtracking, and Walsh and Hines goes in on the second rower like he's going to pass it to Piacoro. Walsh just goes, dude.
Yeah. Gives it to Karapani. Yeah, just Shibasaki scored.
That's just shit. Fuck Hines.
Now, are you putting a line officially through Sharks?
What, to win it?
To do anything?
Yeah, they're done.
Okay.
I have more hope in Manly. I said that last week. At least I know Seabold, I know how Manly are going to play.
I'm sorry, Cronulla fans, we've been a bit hard on your team, but
no,
they
deserve it.
They deserve this.
They're shit house.
They are next week going to Melbourne and losing away from having a negative record, which is scary.
Oh, don't worry about losing. You think these
like,
motherfuckers forgot what you did to them at Shark Park?
And I feel as if they are psychologically going backwards as a team, where they were probably sitting there in the offseason like me and you. Fuck. We made it to the prelim.
And
we just couldn't quite make it to Penrith. All our backline took a pay cut. Trindle's emerged out of nowhere, and he's actually a gun. And here comes Fanua Blake to save us. Next minute, they literally lose 50-0 every week.
Sharks are going to be in top 4 next year. They'll figure it all out. Hines will cut his hair.
And what I'm saying is, where the fuck would this team be without Trindle? And Kennedy's had a really good year, and Trindle actually plays 8 out of 10 every week, if not higher. Where the fuck would they be without Trindle?
Where would they be without Kennedy, who they didn't want in the team?
Yeah.
He literally led Dally M with these idiots.
Yeah, something's got to give. The Sharks, this is just
it's giving.
Enough.
It's happening.
Are the Broncos back?
No. But there's one particular player who truly puts fear in my eyes who comes back next week. And we may see the only spine that even can compete with Melbourne be named next week?
God. It's going to be a tough gig, but...
Nah, you're the Waz. Go on, boys.
As I said with Broncos, I don't want to hear from you motherfuckers until you at least 4-peat. 4 wins in a row, and then I'll take you seriously.
They're not possible.
Because
it's not possible.
While it was an important win, and you came back from adversity to some extent, and you get credit for that, but I can't go and claim that you can't... are now the All Blacks.
I had enough of being pissed. Let's go to the comedy show.
Yeah! Shout out to the Cowboys. Death, taxes, and you cunts giving us what we want every week. Going out there and giving up. And you are not so far away from the wooden spoon that we predicted you will get in the preseason.
Dumb ass team.
Shout out to Matt and
don't know what to say.
all the other loyal
Cowboys
Back Yourself podcast listeners. Because I don't even think Cowboys have fans. Otherwise, they'd be at us every week. But I'm at a different point of my relationship with Cowboys. I feel sorry for these cunts.
No, you don't.
Because they're awful.
No, you don't.
Like, Knights can spring out a win here and there. Souths can backdoor cover against the best of them. Dragons can claim a big scalp once in every while. Para, well...
They're possessed.
Who needs halves in this league? Who else is there? Tigers, well, you guys got 5 wins, so that's cool. But Cowboys, it's like... With some teams, I like fucking Souths. They can go down 10-0 in 5 minutes, and I'm like...
They can come back.
The tiniest bit of my soul is like... you shouldn't like clock off and go to sleep against them because they'll come back. But as soon as Lindsay Collins scored, I was like, yep, can turn the TV off now. It's done. But I wanted to see them get dismantled, obviously.
So you do enjoy them losing?
Yeah.
Of course. So why are you saying...
But I'm at a point where it's like, it comes so easily that it feels wrong.
No, it doesn't.
Why did we only have to lay 6.5?
Because it's good. Well, one, because the other team's Roosters. They're their own.
We'll get to Roosters later, but I want to go to the Cowboys.
But like, realistically, we can't say any shit about Roosters because like they won, and they actually played good, and they still get Sam Walker back, and all their Origin players backed up. So like, there's a lot of shit, right?
Stay on task, mate. Cowboys. Do you feel sorry for them?
No, it's their own fault. Now I'll explain why.
Jesus.
Starts with the back line, right? You lost Val and replaced them with nothing.
Vilea.
No, that's not replacing.
Burns.
That's gone backwards.
Labert.
All backwards. Second of all, you have no backline. And I get it. Purdue has been great at 5'8". But Clifford technically was actually doing nothing wrong. And all of this to bring in another dick in the backline. Right? It's as simple as that. Okay, Purdue is a fantastic 5'8". Was he there? Did he play? Who cares? Who cares how good he is if you're going to lose 40-8 every week? Your backline is atrocious.
They
you
suck.
need players.
They suck.
And what do you cunts do? Move your only center that actually has a breathing body, and you move him to 5'8".
To drop your halfback who was playing fine.
Exactly. It's just stupidity. And at this point, and this was my take right at the preseason review, so for the loyal pod listeners, they'll be saying it. These cunts are maybe 2 weeks away from giving up on the season.
Yeah.
They have no future.
They're not there yet?
No. They have no future. Everyone wants out. They all look like they're tired and they've had enough.
It's too hard.
The Origin players are trying to get their team to G up, but they just look like us. Drinkwater doesn't know what postcode he is in 90% of the time. The kick try for Connor Watson was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. All right, you're trying to save the 40-20, but you don't have any agility or ability to turn in the other direction. And you see the board bounce and you just go...
Yeah, it's too hard.
I can't be bothered.
That's what Drinkwater screams to me. It's just like, I can't be bothered. Just go and score.
And he did. I've got him to come last at 13-1 or 15-1. You could have got him at like 31 when they won a game. They're genuine a chance. Because if they give up, no one else in my mind is going to give up. Everyone's going to try. Even if they're shit, i.e. Dragons and Tigers. They're shit, but they'll try. And Cowboys, I don't know what the answer is. Honestly, the answer might be dissolve the club.
I feel sorry for them.
I don't.
They're so bad.
No, I feel no sorry at all.
Let's go through their season. I'm like...
Well, they won that stupid Raiders game, which more and more...
really angers me.
Yeah.
All right, 42-12 to Manly, 36-12 to Sharks, 26-16 to Broncos. So they're 0-3 playing Raiders and being Pickham at home. At this point, Payton brings in Clifford, right? Yeah. So Clifford debuts as far as the season goes. They beat Raiders. They beat Penrith as 15.5-point underdogs. They beat Souths at $3 something odds. 50-18 to Titans.
It's no cheap.
And then I get back from Iran and this happens. 30-26 to Waz.
They played well.
No disgrace. 30-all to Panthers. No disgrace. You even got a point on the ladder. Good job. From this point forward, it's been an absolute disaster from these cunts. 24-6 when he debuted Labour.
Well, the other thing is that's not impressive because Manly's awful.
They're probably one of the few cunts that have given Manly a win in the last 6 weeks. Yeah. 32-28 against Heath Mason's led Tigers. 38-14 to Melbourne. 58-4 to Dolphins. And now 42-8 to Roosters. So what I'm seeing is a common trend that I think they're already there. These cunts have given up. It's way too hard for them.
Yeah, but next week is a chance.
But that's the problem, right? Their opposition next week might give them life again.
Yeah.
But as far as like the game's getting hard and you guys staying in them, I'm not seeing it. Like
no.
This is a soulless, lifeless team.
But top 4 or top 8.
Realistically, they are missing a lot of players, right? You put Robson and Cotter and Taumalolo and Vilea and
Taumalolo can't even run.
God knows. Whoever else.
Vilea can't do anything. Why are you defending them? They're a piece of human
because like
no.
They shouldn't go out and lose by 50 every week.
Yeah, they should.
Right? Part of the reason they go out and lose by 50 every week is who they're running out there.
No. Because Souths run out there with worse. So do Dragons. So would Tigers. And they still try. Yeah. These guys don't even try.
No, but that's why we came on in this tumultuous season where every underdog wins outright. And we knew this going into the year to some extent, we're right? Because we gave our predicted 17 and we're like, who out of all of these teams that are talented and competent and well coached and whatever, can we definitively go out there and say these cunts will come last?
We said Cowboys.
Why did we say Cowboys?
I said Knights or Cowboys.
I said Cowboys because I was like, when it gets too hard for a team, this is the team I want.
Yeah, but the thing is, you're trying to like, we're on our high horse. We're just gonna keep riding it. Why do you feel sorry for them? They're not last yet.
Because I'm a good guy.
No. Fuck these cunts. And fuck every Cowboys fan.
And seeing like...
Actually, Cowboys fans I feel sorry for.
Same.
Cowboys fans, okay. That's fine.
No, the players. Can you imagine what an empty feeling it is going
on? No. The players are the problem.
No, but it's hard for them. Anyway,
they're not brave enough.
On the other side, Roosters...
There's nothing good about it. You can't say that.
I came on the pod and I said I'll lay minus 29.5.
Well, you won that.
Because... Roosters, as much as you've been fumbling and bumbling the last 5 weeks, you were due to go on front run against a team that rolled over against you, and that's literally like I said. As soon as Lindsay Collins scored, it was done, and it's like you were like a shark that smells blood in the water. And
that's
you're like,
Roosters.
Well, now we can offload 500 times in a row, and we can complete at 100%. Where the fuck's that every other round? But it's Cowboys, so yeah, sure, you can have a pity party and go score 200. That's fine.
I still think Souths are better than them.
We'll see with Roosters, but
now
they are somehow in the 8 after all that, and
they're not.
I have them in the 8 once this year ends. Are they not in the 8? Well, Power's in there. They're literally 7th. They're above Penrith.
Everyone's above Penrith.
So I think Roosters are on a trajectory when Sam Walker and Victor Radley, if he can hopefully stay healthy, touch wood.
No. He's not allowed to play.
And anyone else didn't play this game? Obviously. Like Fouquetti and shit started to this. The Butcher sisters, who I hope never play again. Dom Young. He's going to run out in a Knights jersey for them. I think Roosters can...
Brandon Smith.
Cause some noise to the extent of making the 8 and then losing by 500 when the finals
I think the 8 I said before, like the bottom 4 is too fucked that these cunts have to make it. It's too shit.
But in the end, this was... As funny as it was to watch Cowboys get raped, this was... Just watching Roosters front runs annoys me a little bit because...
Nah.
Like, where was this front running against Raiders? You shit cunts.
Enjoy it.
No, you don't.
I love watching Cowboys. Every week I like Cowboys getting raped. You know what?
Does it not get tiring?
No. Because you know what's entertaining? I usually don't want to cheer for Roosters, but against Cowboys I will.
Don't lie.
No. I despise Cowboys ever since the year they made the prelim final. All they do is play like garbage and they kept winning. And now your time has come, you shit cunts.
Fair enough. And your time has come, Chrissy.
Yes.
As we move on to the final game of the round.
Thank you,
where
Footy Dean.
You win our side wager. Footy Dean stabs me in the heart and twists the dagger 180 degrees. And the Parramatta Eels managed to put up 36 points on the scoreboard to a Titans team that I'm out of words to fucking express. But I'm going to be glass half full kind of guy in this game. Parramatta Eels, wow. Round of applause to you guys.
Well, I'm right.
Truly running out Footy Dean and his mate in the halves. In that situation, young forwards, a couple of strike outside backs, Iongai really coming into his stride as an NRL fullback, and essentially you guys won easily in the end. And for all that Titans had dished out on paper and how good they looked last week against Manly, which truly makes me... All of these results that keep happening around me just make me more concerned for Manly, more than anything.
Yeah,
but
of course.
Let's stay on course. The Parramatta Eels, 36 points without your halves. Where can you guys go when Dylan Brown and Mitch Moses come back? How high can they fly, Chrissy? Because if we want to think when was the last truly awful Para performance, I'm not even going to call that Bulldogs one they lost on the King's birthday awful, because they really hung tight and the scoreboard kind of did them dirty. So you got 36-20 to Titans, 30-12 against Dogs, which I put an asterisk against, 18-10 to a full-strength Panthers side, 30-10 to a Manly side with Turbo, 28-6 to a Knights team who could not score. It was the Dolphins game, 16-20.
Yeah.
But even before that, 28-18 to Sharks when they had no one.
Tigers.
They raped Tigers. The 50-12 to Raiders was about 2.5 months ago. So in my eyes, I will yet again apologise to Jason Riles. And shout out to Joel Coddington and the ambassador of Parramatta, Seabass. Your team looks to have really turned the corner, and they don't look like they're going to be easy to beat for anyone going forward for the rest of the year. So shout out to the Eels.
This is exactly what I said. And I'll copy these words. Titans played good 1 week and everyone thought they were good. Para's played good for the past 6 weeks. And they haven't got the results, right? And they finally got the result. Now, what I actually want to say on this podcast, and we haven't alluded to it enough, is that the modern era has simply brought this even more and more prominent. If you don't have an outside back that can generate anything on his own, you essentially, the rest of the you don't have that opportunity just to give him 6 points and fuck the other team over. And Penasini and Lomax, obviously, is the origin winger, were brilliant in this game. And they had to be, because you have Footy Dean and you have Isaiah Papali'i, who's not a half, but he's playing there because they have no players. And they were awesome. And Titans, it's exactly what I thought about you cunts. It's just, you cunts are just dirt. Truly. No respect. No, literally don't care about the badge. And we said this weeks ago when we first talked about Titans, saying that if you're a Titan supporter, it actually is I feel bad for Titan supporters the most, because you actually watch Titans go out there with a decent lineup and they're just not in there at all. They just give up.
Okay, I'm going to question you in this specific game.
Yeah.
Do you think Titans didn't try really hard?
No.
Do you think Titans went out there and it wasn't that important to them to win?
Yeah.
Did you not see them scratching and clawing
for
70 minutes of this game?
No, you don't scratch and claw against Para.
I think they did.
Oh, yeah?
I actually think Titans couldn't have tried any harder, but Para just completely took the result out of their hands. They literally outplayed them in every way. And that was with Jared Sutton giving these cunts calls. Really think about it.
No.
What more could Titans have done to have won that game?
Played like humans, like they did last week.
No, that was just awful Manly.
Nah.
All right, the way fucking Para were throwing the footy around, do you think Titans are capable of stopping them?
Yeah,
obviously not.
No, but there's no reason to only score 20.
20 is nothing to scoff at.
No, it is.
You cunts giving up 36 is the problem, but I'm not sure they could have defended any better. If anything, they easily could have conceded fucking
They
50.
defended perfectly fine last week.
No, that's because Manly can't score.
No, Manly could score. Don't worry about that.
Doesn't seem like it.
They perfectly can't score.
I'll challenge you. I think the easy thing to come on and say is Titans are fucking garbage, but
They're actually not.
They are garbage, but this is not the game to say that. I'm not sure they could have really played much better. They suck ass.
So you're saying Para is so much... Oh, you're rating Para above where I've rated them.
How good did these cunts play? They literally ran out a halves pairing that have never played together. It's fucking Footy Dean, for God's sake.
He's good now.
You have a first-year fullback, a first-year hooker, Joey Lussick getting more than 40 minutes in a game. Your back row has played 4
Joey
games.
Lussick scored.
Joey Lussick scored. Titans even scored first, and they scored an intercept try, and you still won 13 plus.
Yeah.
They played so good.
Listen.
And Jared Sarnum gives these cunts calls. They won 3 captain's challenges, for God's sake.
I want to talk shit about Titans. Because you cunts truly, like... If you played half of what you played last week, you would have won, in my opinion. But yes.
I disagree.
I think it's not the fact that Para were playing possessed. It's fine. Para can play possessed. Why do you can't have 5 sets on Para's line and can't score?
Look, a bit of that was Jaden Campbell going off, for sure.
Okay.
Foreign sucks at this age, which is okay. He's old. Brimson sucks. And the age has nothing to do with it. And they're just shit. Like, they're 17. What do you want from them? They're fucking garbage.
They're not what... Well, next week is the
They're
toilet bowl
literal
of the year.
dirt. Right?
Look.
I'll take the blame on, as far as the Telegram channel goes, sending out Titans -2.5. Look, I thought it was the right side. I thought Para would struggle more. Maybe I was baited from these cunts beating Manly last week, but I got to give it up to Para. Like, they should have been
Manly, okay. I think past this week, now that all the retards are gone and Manly's had a bye, Manly are the worst litmus test ever. Like, they're just idiots, right? And to be honest, and I said this in the reel of Upset Alert, that Para beat Manly with the same team by 20. So Titans didn't achieve anything, yet alone Para without having Moses, which all I heard fucking all week from you cunts is Para with no Moses. They don't even know how to play anymore. They've lost it. Yeah, old Para, not new Para. This is new Para. This is a different Para.
I would have entertained it more if at least Dillbags was playing. I didn't see them putting 36 points up.
What if Dillbags played? These cunts would have lost
I know.
40.
No, realistically, Chris, if Dillbags and Moses played, these cunts would have scored 50.
Yeah. Titans
Easily.
were that bad.
Yeah. Well, Para, like, some of their attacking shape is actually fucked.
Yeah. They're actually running shape.
The way they ran shape and offloaded and supported in the middle and didn't drop it and Lomax in the air and how hard it was for Titans. It's so hard.
These Queensland teams, it's just too hard for them. But I want to call out again, Lomax. What a game! I mean, every time we praise you, you just go to another level, and they really needed you today. You know, not inexperienced halves, inexperienced hooker. Yeah, they did. Inexperienced halves, inexperienced hooker, inexperienced fullback, and you're the one who stood up. And obviously, the dagger try at the end with the catch, which obviously you're going to catch it, you fuckwit. And the Manu drop also made me laugh from AJ Brimson. That was hilarious. And he wants to go catch it the other end, which also made us laugh when we watched the game. But
it's always a laugh watching Titans.
Of course. But back to your question, where Para can go, exactly where we thought they would be. I think they finished 9th or 10th. And unfortunately, and like I said with Knights and like I said with Roosters, these idiots at the top are just too far in front now. And it's because of the idiocy of the rest of the league. It's not actually Warriors and Raiders' fault, or Dogs or Melbourne. It's not actually their fault because they were the only ones that were consistent. It's the fact that all these idiots kept tripping over each other. Now we got a point of the top 4 is essentially done. It's a battle for the other 4 with good teams that on their day can play have a higher ceiling than Parramatta. And Brisbane full strength, Penrith full strength, Raiders... Cronulla full strength, Manly full strength, Roosters full strength, South full strength. If any of them play to the best of their level, they will probably beat Parramatta no matter how good they play. And it's just because Para, again, inexperienced. Yes, they have Moses and Brown coming back, but in an inexperienced team, you just don't expect them to get there. So Para don't really have that capability. If they make the 8, I'll truly be shocked. And I think a lot of teams will shock me if they make the 8. I.e. Knights, i.e. South, i.e. Para, Dragons, you can't.
So at this stage, are you leaning towards the Panthers, Roosters, Dolphins,
Broncos, Cronulla, Manly? They're the ones I assumed will be in there. And
are you saying Manly are fucked?
Manly are fucked. Yeah. They're finished.
Okay.
But Manly's ceiling is higher than Para.
Of course.
So,
but ceiling aside, of the cunts that seem to be out of the 8 picture, who would you say has it in them to fire up and go and fucking somehow make it? Is it Souths? Is it Para? Is it Knights?
The ones
is it
that aren't in it
Tigers?
right
Is
now?
it fucking Titans?
I truly think South. Because in my mind, truly South's only issue is quitting through the middle of the park. Offensively, you could play against Dogs. You could play against Melbourne, Warriors, Raiders. They'll score on that left edge.
Yeah, I know.
With Walker there. Yeah. And they've been scoring on that left edge without Walker there.
Yeah.
So, look, I know Para can throw it around and score. I know Manly can throw it around and score. But if you're looking for consistency and go on a run and actually make the finals, you need something that will work every single time. And that left side is foolproof. And that's my opinion. And you have Wayne, which best coach of all time. So, I mean, I think South are probably the best bet out of all of them. If you want an outsider, but I just think the 5 to 8 is just going to be a bloodbath.
I think Souths are the best team out of all of them.
Do they have it in them?
But I don't think they're healthy enough. So I'm going to go Knights. They have the blueprint.
I'll take Para over Knights.
I respect that. I'm saying no to Para because Moses is out for 6 more.
But then I would take Roosters over Para.
Well, Roosters are already in the 8, so I think that's...
Yeah, okay. So then who's not in it? Manly. Fuck me.
Nah, Manly are fucking... Phew.
Yeah, but is their ceiling better than
Yeah,
Roosters?
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Manly, like, when they're clicking on all cylinders and everyone's there, they can fucking rape anyone in this league. But...
Yeah, but will we get that from Seabold?
As I said, and shout out to them because they're on a buy round, with what Seabold's been doing, and essentially it was when Cherry Evans announced that he's quit on the team.
Have you heard of the cutting that Seabold's done? Early preview for next week.
Turbo at centre, Lehigh at fullback.
No.
He fucked off.
Saab's gone. Croker's gone.
Croker's been awful. Fair enough.
To New South Wales Cup. And I think they bring in...
Saab has been awful.
Jazz's starting hooker again because apparently it worked. I don't know if that's going to work, but we'll see against the lowest of low Tigers. But I think there is a few teams that are gone. Titans, Cowboys, Tigers, Dragons. Done. They will never make it.
Those four, in my opinion, they could play 100 more years and they won't make it.
Yeah, no, they're gone.
Realistically, Souths, Manly...
They're literally like one or two losses away.
Knights are like, your room for error is fucking pretty small. Yeah. And then Penrith, Dolphins, Roosters is like, yeah, you should make it.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. Para is probably the only team that they have the shit injury of this cunt being out for so long. So how many wins can they get without Moses? And then when Moses comes back, they're going to have to win every game. So that's going to be pretty hard.
Cowboys.
They have the worst point differential. It's incredible how bad they are.
For those cunts that really it hasn't sunk in for them,
how bad
Cowboys are, their differential's worse than
Titans.
Yeah.
Minus 140.
And it's taken like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it didn't take long.
And they've
it was
won.
probably positive a month ago.
And they beat Titans. Did you say? They beat them by
50,
32.
yeah.
That's how bad they are.
The Melbourne's is
72.
They try for 10 minutes a week. Broncos is now 50. Wow, I'm so impressed. Panthers is
1.
Dragons.
Anyway. Did you miss Dragons?
Oh, yeah. Dragons play my Para next week.
Dragons, Dogs, and Manly. I missed all 3 of them.
No, I didn't. I didn't miss Dogs.
You didn't miss Galvin?
I only like watching Galvin. I don't like watching the rest of it.
Let's put a pin on this one. You guys can give us your thoughts in the comments of if you think we're sick cunts for taking these underdogs and if it will continue. Or if you thought we were wrong and you want to call me a monkey for taking Titans, I respect that as well as a garbage bet. Your 3 key takeaways for the round, Chrissy.
New South Wales, you cunts should be ashamed of yourselves if you lose to Queensland in Game 3. Because I'm not just saying that. That's in context of the whole round. Look how the Queensland sides are playing. South, hang in there. Don't give up.
Give up.
No. Don't give up. And finally, and truthfully, fuck Nico Hines.
Tough words, but they had to be ushered. My 3. An NRL round is never complete without Dragons. That's what's evident to me. Number 2.
Shout out the Zerafos brothers.
Shout out to the Zerafos brothers.
Number 2, we're truly following and betting on the dumbest sport in the world that Panthers can go and win. And I'm not shocked about it. Truly awful result. And number 1,
Between Cowboys and Titans.
Titans, that was a new low for Newcastle.
Oh, wow, he's that off Titans.
For 36 points to that Para team is just fucking shit. And I think we have our wooden spooner officially.
Cowboys.
Titans.
Next week, we'll figure it out.
Oh.
Did you forget they played each other?
Did you forget Johnny got a cat one?
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, peace out from the Back Yourself podcast. See you 48 hours from now. Peace out.